Now let's get to the conversation with TARIQ NASHEED. Salute to TARIQ NASHEED. Good brother right there.
Okay, what's up? It's Andrew Schultz. I am here right now with TARIQ NASHEED.
What's going on, Schultz?
How you doing? It's suspected white supremacist Andrew Schultz here with TARIQ NASHEED. We're waiting on Charlemagne. Charlemagne's in the other room finishing up, but we're going to get started because we only have TARIQ here for a short amount of time. We only have TARIQ here for like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Man, it's my pleasure.
I listened to you on Tax yesterday.
Yeah.
You are talented.
Thank you, my brother.
I don't say that about anybody. I don't know if you listen to this podcast, but I'm very, seldomly bestowed that compliment on people. You have a gift.
Thank you.
You're a great communicator. Very, very good communicator. And I'm listening to this episode, and really funny episode. Everybody should go check it out.
Yeah.
And I found myself agreeing with you on many points and actually doing some research to like check certain things out.
Anything you disagree with?
I mean, certain things that not necessarily. Yes, there's definitely things I disagreed with, but it was more like principle disagreements. There's certain things I wanted to start out with just that I agree with you, like the Susan B. Anthony thing. I thought was very interesting. I wasn't familiar, and you brought up this idea that Susan B. Anthony is lauded as this amazing feminist,
right,
when in reality she was also racist.
Very racist.
Very racist. I mean, we have to judge things contextually, right? So for the time, maybe she wasn't as racist as people who were like beating the shit out of slaves and stuff like that, but she was racist in terms of she didn't want to put black men's ability to vote in front of women's ability to vote for the 15th Amendment.
And her argument was because black people were inferior.
She said she could live in a society where they were inferior. She could live in a society where the Saxon ruled over the African. She could live in a society where the rich ruled over the poor. She could live in a society where the educated ruled over the uneducated, but she couldn't live in a society where men ruled over women. And regardless, still racist.
But
can't deny it. I mean, there were several things I was listening to that I definitely agreed on, and there are other things that I disagreed on. And it was I'm listening and I'm like, I'm going, okay, I wonder, and I mean this when I say you are a gifted fucking communicator, and I wonder if you suffer from a lack of competition. I wonder if, how like Jordan needed the Pistons to reach peak Jordan, and like Magic and Bird needed each other, and all greats need somebody to push them to expose their greatness. And I wonder if you're so good at making arguments seem completely understandable, completely believable, that the person that you're arguing with isn't challenging you enough. And I felt like, and I remember thinking in certain ways, like when you were talking about white supremacy, I was like, how do I explain it? Are you blinded by white supremacy in terms? Like where you're missing maybe the actual root cause of an issue?
Well, blinded. That's interesting. Blinded by white supremacy.
Meaning like you're so committed to proving white supremacy, which we can absolutely acknowledge.
Right.
In certain instances the indicator is the root cause. In certain.
Okay.
But I think in other ones it might not be.
Okay. Now let's define what white supremacy is.
Yeah, that's important.
That's very important.
What is white supremacy to you, or how do you see it?
Right. Well, just the basic definition to the people who implemented the system of white supremacy. It's groups of people classified as white who dominate, control, and mistreat groups of people classified as non-white.
Gotcha.
Right. So that's the working definition. That's always pretty much been the definition of what white supremacy is. It's a group phenomenon.
Right.
And what happens a lot of times, people put black folks in token positions and say, hey, there's a black guy right there, so there's no white supremacy. Right. There's two black kids going to that school, so it's not segregated. No white supremacy. It's integrated because there's two black people right there.
When would that school become integrated? See,
I don't even use the word integration.
Or what word you would like to use?
We have white supremacy or we don't. And the
when would it not be at 12%? When the population,
you can't quantify white supremacy by little intangible numbers.
Because, no, I picked 12% because black people are 12% of the American population. So if it reflected the American population of blacks, would that be considered, we don't have to use integrated, but not white supremacy.
Well, see, the problem was not black people being in a certain capacity. That wasn't the issue. Because black people, we've always lived around white people. On slavery, we lived right in the homes of white people, right in the back of them. So was that integration? You see, integration is a trick word. It's white supremacy.
No, I'm saying, you said if there's one or two, it's a token. So I'm going, what percent of representation does it become not a token, but in fact the exact representation that it should reflect of the population?
When there's
of the United
equal
States?
treatment and equal resources for the group. You got it?
But if there's only 12% black people, should there be 50% of the? Should there be 70% of the resources going to 12% of the black people because there's 70% white people? You see how it's confusing? Like, shouldn't your resources be dictated by the percentage of your population? If there's 2% Indians in America, they shouldn't get 50% of the education budget.
Well,
they should get 2%.
Well,
of the
you have
budget.
you can have a white school on one side of town and a black school on one side of town. The white school is getting all the resources, all the money, and all the funding, and the black school that's 100% black is getting almost 75% less than that. So that's not
here's my
integration
question.
or segregation. That's just white supremacy.
But is that white supremacy, or is that how we divide up education dollars based on taxes?
Taxes, okay.
Taxation.
Let's look at the taxation.
Right.
So it's not about race, it's about taxation.
I'm saying is that, like, here's an example where we could be blind and we could make something a race issue when it's actually a taxation issue. If we take a wealthy black neighborhood or a wealthy black area in America that has a very high tax bracket, I bet that public school in that area would have all the spoils of a wealthy white school strictly because it's based on a tax bracket, not because it's based on the race.
So why are there not more wealthy black neighborhoods with the same tax bracket as white neighborhoods?
So, I mean, clearly there's more wealth. Actually, I can't even say that if there's more wealth. I mean, on a whole, there's more poor white people in America just because there's more white people.
Right.
But percentage-wise, there's more wealth in the white community than there is in the black community. And that is because, obviously, if we're going to talk about just the people who have been here in America, a legacy of slavery.
So white supremacy, we're going right back to white supremacy again.
But we also have to look at recent immigrants that have come in from Africa and the West Indies in America who haven't sustained the same legacy of slavery and had incredible success in America. I mean, Nigerians out earn and out succeed white males in America, Asian males in America.
Even education-wise, they outperform.
And not only education. I mean, we're talking about wealth.
Yeah.
Like the amount of money that they're bringing in average household outsucceeds everybody. So is that a function of white supremacy that they're doing so well here? How is that?
Because they're allowed to. Other people are allowed by the white supremacists to prosper over black Americans here because
where are these meetings I'm missing?
Well, see, that's the thing. There's meetings all over. There's all over, and y'all won't tell us. So
I gotta go.
This is why we have to suspect certain
I want
people.
Some of that Nigerian money.
Yes, that's why we have to suspect certain people of being white supremacists. These meetings are all over. Y'all not telling us. So,
who's y'all? I'm not being told.
You're not telling.
I need to get CC on the email.
You know somebody who knows what a meeting is.
I don't know. I just know these Nigerians are rich. I keep going to Nigerian doctors and dentists.
But
I'm trying to get some money.
That's the thing. They're allowed. They're allowed.
Why would a white supremacist allow a black Nigerian to receive such wealth and privilege?
Because they can take that wealth and privilege right away if they want to.
How?
Anytime. They can deport them. They can send them back over to Nigeria.
For what?
Back
You
to
can't
their
deport
village.
anybody for nothing.
The hell you can't.
You absolutely can.
If you're a black person,
Dr. Umar make this joke.
If you're a black, if you're from another country, now we're talking about immigrants here. They can find a reason to deport you. They can say,
my mom's an immigrant.
From where?
From Scotland.
Okay, well, she's white. That's different.
So
but
you're
a black
you
person
can only deport black immigrants.
No, I didn't say that. No. I didn't say that. But
okay, but where in legislation does it say that you can deport them?
With black people, well, they're doing that now with Syrians. All they have to do is say you're a terrorist. You're connected to ISIS. They can make up anything. You're connected with Boko Haram. They could make that up, and you have no proof. You have Ebola from Nigeria, so you're going to have to go back
because they're connected to Boko Haram. And for people who aren't familiar with Boko Haram is a terrorist organization with links to ISIS that is operating in Nigeria right now, and it's displaced thousands of people. Really scary shit. But who have they sent back because of Boko Haram? As far as my understanding, they've sent back nobody.
Ebola. With the Ebola thing,
Ebola isn't Boko Haram.
But the thing is, I'm giving you an example,
and they've never sent anybody back because of Ebola.
They won't let people over. They'll say, "Well, he can't come over here."
Let people over is different than sent back, Tariq. We have
I'm
to
just
make
giving you an
about.
example of what they can do. They can do anything.
This is why you're good.
I'm giving you an example.
Won't question you on your shit when they question you on your shit.
I'm giving you an example of what they can do. I'm giving you an example of what they can do.
But you're not. You're not giving me an example of something that's actually happened. Because I've heard Umar make this statement, and they can't kick someone back who is a citizen and they can't kick someone back who was born here. So Nigerians come here, their kids are born here, and they have this incredible success in America.
But they're allowed to. They're allowed by the white supremacists.
By the white supremacists, right?
And also when before the Nigerians,
seems very weird.
Before the
other
Nigerians,
white supremacists would probably look at that, and be like, "Guys, this white supremacy isn't really up to par. I've seen better."
No. They don't mind that. They don't mind letting one or two black people prosper. A very small group. Hell, in Nazi Germany,
black people are a small group. There's only 12%
in Nazi
black
Germany,
people.
there were rich Jews who got put in the oven. Like Abraham Tuchinski, he was a rich Jewish businessman. He went right in that oven.
All the Jews went in the oven.
Exactly.
That was the thing about it.
Exactly.
So
all of us are treated the same. So certain black people are allowed to have a certain amount of money. Some are allowed to not.
If all black people are treated the same, why are you saying in the next sentence that certain black people are allowed to be pulled into the white supremacy umbrella?
Because they can be controlled. They can be controlled, and their little wealth that they get should not or will not be allowed to affect the masses of black people. That's the thing. They don't mind one or two token black people having certain positions. We'll even let you make $500 million like Bill Cosby, but we can destroy Bill Cosby anytime we want by bringing out these poor white women who said that he touched their breast.
Well, I mean,
that's a perfect example.
It wasn't only white women,
no. The couple of token black women sprinkled in there didn't even count. That's how they hide their racism, by putting token black women in there too.
I've seen you make this argument as well, which I think is an argument of convenience. This is what I'm talking about, where you need more competition, because I think it's just a convenient argument where you get into this thing like, okay, if you disagree with me, then you're a token black dude. You're a coon
I'm just
if you
talking
disagree
facts.
with me.
These are facts.
But they're not facts. You can't prove tokenism of somebody.
You can.
How?
You can prove that black people, name black people in certain positions, and there are two rules for black people who are put in positions by people in the dominant society. There's two rules.
Right.
Rule number one, you cannot help black people collectively.
Yeah.
Rule number two, you cannot punish white people. Name black people in these positions who have done one of those two.
Okay, so I remember you made this point on tax when you were talking about Marilyn Mosby.
Yes.
And you said that, and this is another one where I think you're blinded by race.
Just name them, brother.
But Marilyn Mosby is the mayor of, is the prosecutor, district attorney in Baltimore for the Freddie Gray case.
So you can't name Schultz, right?
We're going to go off of Marilyn Mosby, right?
Okay.
So you said that Marilyn Mosby tried to punish white cops, and they got her out of there.
They're getting her out of there right now.
Or they're getting her out of there right now. Right. Now, let's just talk about Baltimore for a second. This is a majority black city. There's a black mayor, black police chief, minority police force is majority minority police force, black district attorney.
That's not answering the question.
Majority black city council, black attorney general, black president. Who is they that's getting her out of there? I mean, I can tell you who's getting her out of there. Stephanie Rawlings Blake is getting her out of there because her career is potentially ruined by this Freddie Gray situation. So what you had to, and Stephanie Rawlings Blake is the mayor, the black mayor of Baltimore.
Right, they
the
get
black
her up out of
mayor
there
of Baltimore
too.
threw under the bus for her own career.
But why did she throw under the bus? Because Stephanie's about to get her career is about to be thrown under the bus. By who? The white supremacists.
What white supremacists?
The ones who run the police unions there. This the police unions.
The police are minority black. They run their own unions.
Don't.
Absolutely.
The police out there in Baltimore don't run
listen, Tariq.
Man, the police unions. Are you telling me the police unions in Baltimore are run by black people?
Sure.
That's not true.
Absolutely. They represent minority.
That's
absolutely.
not true.
So here's the thing, Tariq.
That's not true.
Tariq, this is why Baltimore is such a bad example. I'm telling you.
That's not true.
You can make better examples for this, but for this argument you're making, it's the worst example because this is a black city.
But
this is a black city that is controlled by white tax dollars. People.
It's not controlled by black people.
It absolutely is.
Then why are black people
majority
allowed to be
black
killed
city
out there
council,
and nothing happens?
9 out of the 15 people.
If black people controlled it, why can white cops go into black neighborhoods and kill black people?
Are they going into neighborhoods and killing black people? Is that something that's happening, or that's something that happened?
Why can they go into a black neighborhood and kill a black person and nothing happens to them?
Can white people do that, or can cops do that?
No, white people. White police officers can do that. Black people, you cannot.
And here's the question.
Black people cannot kill unarmed white people.
So here's the question I ask you.
So let me finish.
Here's the question I ask you. Okay,
let me finish.
Go.
Black people, even a cop, you cannot kill unarmed white people and not get punished. If it happens, it's so extremely rare, it's ridiculous. I can think about one or two cases
it happens at a higher percentage than it does to black people.
No,
you should check out two studies. The Washington Post did a study, and I think Johns Hopkins University did a study where white people are 18% more likely to get killed than black people by police.
You changed the argument. I said black cops killing whites. Now I can deal with what you're saying too.
Black cops ain't killing whites.
Black cops are not killing unarmed white people. Schultz. Matter
of fact, well, cops in general.
We're talking about
let's stay on this issue. Let's stay on this issue.
But also, let me deal with what you just said.
Real quick, and then we'll get back to that. I promise you.
Right.
I promise we'll get back to that. But real quick with this issue. So we have a situation where I think you're blinded by the race issue, right? And I think that there is cop privilege in that. A cop.
If you are white.
No, I think if you're black, white doesn't matter.
Then name black cops who are killing unarmed white people. Name them.
Name black cops.
I can name Pantaleo, Darren Wilson. I can name the cops who killed Freddie Gray. I can name a whole bunch of them.
There was a black cop at a university in, I think, Texas that shot a white kid because he thought he was on drugs.
The naked white guy. Yeah, people always point to the naked. That's the only one that I can think of. And there was a white guy who was flipping out on drugs and he shot him.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So that's one. You said the name one.
Okay, but I mentioned that earlier. So you're going to have.
No, you never mentioned that.
I did. I said there's about one or two.
Well, you just said name one. You said name one. I named one.
Well, he's a white
and I'm
sacrifice.
sure if I just Google cops that have killed whatever. But you
there's
have to
always going to be a white sacrifice. But when it's systematic,
again, here goes back to your argument, which is
when it's systematic. When it's systematic,
you're a coon if you disagree with me, and there's a white sacrifice.
But having a white sacrifice doesn't negate the fact that it is systematic.
You can make better arguments. This is what I'm saying. You're a smart dude. You're a great communicator, and you communicate in digestible. I'm listening to this tax interview. Very digestible.
You are a white supremacy denier.
No, I've already acknowledged that white supremacy exists. What I think that you do is I think that you conflate certain situations with white supremacy, which aren't. And I think what's dangerous about that is, let me finish, what's dangerous about that is we actually don't get to the solution that we want because we're blinded by this white supremacy idea, or we're blinded by race baiting, and we miss the actual issue here at hand, which is not white supremacy. In this situation, it is maybe a cop privilege where a cop can get away with certain things regardless of race that a white person or a black person cannot get away with.
Now, name any area of activity that is not dominated by systematic white supremacy.
What do you mean?
Any area of activity between people. There's about 9 areas. Okay. Labor, law, education, religion, sex, war, entertainment. Religion. Okay. Yeah. So religion is not dominated by white supremacy.
No.
It is. It's completely dominated by white supremacy because, number one, we're taught to relish and worship white gods. When you go to a black church, there should not even be a black church. The reason why there's a black church is because there is a white church, and there's a white church because of white supremacy. So all of you're supposed to be Christians. There should not be any segregation in a church. The white supremacists determine that. So white supremacy dominates all that.
So here's a perfect example of where I think that you again are clouded by your view of white supremacy. You want to prove white supremacy so bad, you're just ignoring thousands of years of history. For example, idols in religion always reflect what the people look like who they're trying to attract to the religion. So when Christianity was invented 2,000 years ago, and it was spread across Europe, which is white, they created a Jesus that was reflective of the population. Very similar to Buddha. Buddha, if you look at the Indian Buddha, is this fat, obese Buddha. Now,
Jesus isn't from Europe.
As Buddhism,
but Jesus isn't from Europe.
Can you listen?
I'm listening.
As Buddhism traveled from India to Asia, what happened to Buddha? Buddha became this slender, tight, slanted-eyed Buddha. So we go from fat Indian Buddha to slanted-eyed Asian Buddha because why? People want something that looks just like them. That's why you see black Jesus in certain churches.
But for the most part, you see the white Jesus.
This black Jesus,
for the most part,
black concept of black Jesus came about because in certain parts of the world, in order to attract them to Jesus, they created a black idol. So you're looking at this like literally 2,000 years ago when in Rome or wherever the fuck they are, they're not even considering black people. Like, you know what? In 1600 years, we want to preserve the white supremacy legacy. So when the transatlantic slave trade happens, let's make sure that white God, Jesus, looks white so that we can disenfranchise and marginalize these black people that we tell to be Christian. It had nothing to do with it. They're 1600 years apart. These people aren't thinking about it at all. They're thinking, how do I get that white guy right there who's a pagan to believe in Christianity?
But, sir,
make this guy kind of look like him?
They practice Christianity in Ethiopia for thousands of years. They have like one of the oldest symbols of Christianity in Ethiopia and Africa. So
and African if you follow the art, and I guarantee if you follow the art, so like you follow with any religion, if you follow the art,
now when you go
then you'll see the similarities.
Go to all the places where there are dark people, they've been programmed and beaten into submission to worship Christianity. I've been all over the world. You go to Samoa, there's a Christian, white Christian church all over the place.
Sure.
Even in Africa, they're worshiping white Jesus all over the place.
They're worshiping Islam all over the place as well.
Right.
What's your point?
Well, the thing is, Islam is dominated by the white supremacists because now they can.
Islam
is dominated. It's dominated.
Islam is dominated by the white supremacists.
You're dominated. Yeah, because
so there's 2 billion tokens.
Yeah, no, they're not
2 billion
tokens. They're dominated by the white supremacists because they can blow up any Muslim anytime they want to. The white supremacists can say, "Okay, that's a terrorist. I'm burning and blowing up your whole country." So they're dominated by the white supremacy. Muslim is a code.
Make that point again.
I'm saying that the so-called Muslims, any Muslim on this planet, the white supremacist dominates them, especially over in the Middle East. The white supremacists run the Middle East. They go over there and pick and choose which Muslim country they want to dominate and destroy.
You're talking about Western oil influences are now synonymous with white supremacy.
Yeah.
So here's another perfect example of you being blinded by white supremacy. You're just taking the umbrella of white supremacy and putting it on top of whatever issue it is you want to discuss, and then making some loose connection.
Not a loose connection. They dominate them totally, sir.
You can make these
do they dominate them or
so
not?
Much better.
Do they dominate them or not?
No, I will not say that white supremacy dominates them.
It doesn't matter how much.
I will say Western capitalism dominates.
That is white supremacy. Who controls Western capitalism?
I mean, it depends. It depends. I mean, I think Oprah's in control of her own network.
Oprah couldn't even handle the damn food industry. They almost destroyed Oprah's career. That's why she had to get Dr. Phil. Oprah got on television and said, "I'm never eating beef again." Hillbilly white men almost destroyed Oprah. She had to go get hillbilly Dr. Phil to save her. That's why I don't
think you give Oprah enough credit for the power that she has.
No, I love Oprah to death, but the thing is, Oprah's still under the system of white supremacy.
No, Oprah.
They'll let her know that.
Listen, I'm not familiar with the food industry that she does, but what she did for television was unprecedented.
Nobody's questioning that.
That's my industry was
nobody's questioning that.
It seems that you're questioning it, and it seems that you're belittling her efforts.
I'm not. See, that's a trick. No.
Let me make the point before you say trick.
No, that's a trick. You're trying to make it seem like I'm dumping on Oprah. I love Oprah.
Let me explain
why.
Oprah,
like me and other people, are still victims of white supremacy.
Let me explain why I think that they are unknowingly dumping on Oprah.
I'm not.
Because you're acting as if Oprah didn't earn that.
I never said that.
You said you're acting like she was allowed to have it.
She earned it. A lot of us earn things, but we're still under the system of white
because
supremacy.
These Nigerians are allowed.
They are allowed.
So,
that doesn't say that they're not thorough.
Or did she claw away and get that herself?
That doesn't say that they're not thorough. Let's be very clear.
Did she claw away and get it herself, or did she allow it?
It doesn't matter how qualified you are in the system of white supremacy.
To go at Oprah.
No, I love Oprah. I love Oprah.
So you either got to be consistent with your argument. Do the white supremacists allow Oprah to have it?
Yes.
Or did she claw away at it?
No, you can still be thorough, but they allow you to do certain things.
So Oprah didn't earn that herself.
She did earn it herself.
See, I think Oprah earned it all herself, and I think she might have had to work harder than someone else in her position.
Now, why would she have to work harder?
Obviously, because of racial issues.
There you go. Thank you, Schultz. Thank you. But we're on the same page.
No. Honestly, in a lot of ways, we are on the same page. I just think that you're confusing, or maybe purposely putting this idea of white supremacy because it's something you want to prove so bad.
So we just proved that white supremacy dominates religion. What other areas of activity?
We actually disproved that entirely.
No, we did not.
You completely agreed with me that these idols reflect the people that they want to bring on.
White supremacy dominates all. You're talking about thousands of years ago, there wasn't white supremacy. Within the last 500 years, that's when white supremacy rose.
Islam, which
if we're talking
really
thousands of years ago, there wasn't white supremacy then. Now there is white supremacy, and it dominates all areas of activity.
That's very convenient, isn't it?
No, it's not convenient. That's just history.
Right, when you have an argument that all of a sudden that's just what happens?
I mean, that's what happens historically.
This is why. So you're upset that now okay, so your argument is now white supremacy dominates religion.
Mm-hmm. It does now, in all areas.
Thousands of years ago it didn't.
No, it didn't, because there was no white supremacy.
Right.
Because African people were ruling all over the place.
When did they decide that Jesus was white? Now or thousands of years ago?
No, about 500 years ago. About 500 years ago, that's when they started to promote the white Jesus
500 years
ideology.
ago, Islam was popping. We're talking about 500
years ago when Columbus and all these people started sailing around the world. They started to Christianize everybody.
Before that, Jesus was white. You just have to look at the art.
There's images of black. The original images of Jesus is black.
No, I think he was Middle Eastern.
There's paintings in the Middle Eastern. They were black, basically. The original ones, they were black.
Now everybody's black. Now everybody's changing colors. Now everybody's doing
what are you? What are you? Jewish? What are you? Jewish, Italian? What are you?
I'm my mother's Scottish and my dad is Irish and German.
Okay, because some of the original Irish were even black. Go get a book by David McRitchie, Ancient and Modern Britain.
The original humans were black. We can go back as far as that. Right. Obviously, everybody's black, but no, the original Irish were not black. There were black Irish, which people are talking about, but the black Irish are those when the Spanish Armada landed in Ireland, not
but you had the Picts and you had the Celts and you had all of these people.
Yeah, but none of that has to do with blackness. You're just saying words.
I'm not. No.
You're just saying words that you don't really know what they mean.
Some of the original people in Ireland. Okay, this is a white guy said this. White guy named David McRitchie said this in the book Ancient and Modern Britain.
Tell me about the Celts and how they're black.
And these are the redheads. But it was a guy named David McRitchie. Listen, I'm telling you about this book.
You're just saying words you don't know the definition.
Ancient and Modern Britain. There's a white guy.
You can't do that with me.
Go get the book.
I know my shit. That's the difference.
David McRitchie.
Okay? This is
Ancient and Modern Britain.
You need the Pistons.
There were original people in Ireland were black folks.
You say that shit. No. Tell me what the Celts and the Picts are.
The original people in Ireland were black people. The Picts and all these people. That's what a white guy said it. So he must be lying.
A white guy said it, so it must be true.
A white guy wrote it in the 1800s.
This white supremacy shit.
A white guy wrote it in the 1800s, so he must have been lying because that's where I got it from.
All right. Well, I think you need to relook at that source. I think you need to look at it again. And as far as religion goes, clearly, I mean, one of the most effective tools about Islam is you're not allowed to show pictures of the Prophet. Right? It is illegal in the religion. You can die when you show pictures of the Prophet. Now, when you're not allowed to show pictures of the Prophet, that's pretty convenient for convincing the whole world that that's your prophet because he could look just like you in your image, can he? He can look just like you. So when I go to Asia, when I go to India, if I'm spreading Islam, which it spread very quickly throughout the entire world. I mean, the largest Islamic population in the world is Indonesia. You go to Indonesia, they can imagine that Muhammad looks just like them in Indonesian. So it's an effective tool for spreading.
But the thing is, they're dominated. That religion is dominated by the white supremacists because they can take them out anytime. And they can criminalize a whole religious group of people.
Is the whole world dominated by Russia because they have a nuclear weapon? They can take people out anytime?
Yeah, they're white. It's white on white crime as far as I'm concerned. But as far as Islam,
yes,
they can take out anybody. It doesn't matter how much money you have. With Gaddafi, all of these people, they had a lot of money, took them out overnight. So the white supremacists dominate all people.
Right. So that's
regardless of religion.
That's American empire.
That's still white supremacy. See, these are code words. See, a lot of people like to use these words as capitalism, it's empire, it's the Illuminati, it's the Bilderberg. That's that Alex Jones bullshit. It's the Bilderberg. It's all different words for white supremacy.
Why is that?
Because the white supremacists are the ones you're talking about. When you're talking about all these different groups, it's like a corporation. And you're talking, there's a corporation called white supremacy, and you're just talking about the different floors in the same corporation.
So is there a difference if white supremacy looks out for white people so much, why are white people in America suffering?
Well, you have white sacrifices, and also it's
we're sacrificing the majority of white people.
Also, it's like military. You have generals, captains.
Run corporation. This building needs some,
and even look
renovations.
So you saying that poor white people, they're not white supremacists?
Well, I think poor white people will want to be white supremacists more than anything else because they actually value it. They actually benefit from it. But it serves because if I'm poor but I'm better than you and you're a rich black guy, then I, of course, want to align myself with this white supremacy. That makes perfect sense. Now, why isn't the white supremacy elite that you're talking about that are making all these decisions, that are oppressing the Middle East, that are controlling the entire world, the white empire, why aren't those white people taking care of these poor white people if there's this agenda? Or is it maybe those white elite aren't really white elite, they're just rich people and they don't give a fuck about what color your skin is. They just want to keep all their money to themselves. And it has nothing to do with white supremacy, but rich supremacy and the top 1%. And if you're part of that group, then you get to play with us and you get to the spoils and fuck all the poor people regardless if they're black, regardless if they're white, regardless if they're Asian, regardless if they're Puerto Rican. It doesn't matter.
And the thing is, the problem with that argument, some of the worst and biggest white supremacists are dirt poor white people. They are some of the biggest white supremacists you ever want to meet because that's all they have.
That's all they have.
They can say, I live in a trailer, I'm on meth, I got head lice, but I'm doing better than that rich black guy because I will not be killed walking around unarmed, and my constitutional rights will be protected.
Lyndon B. Johnson said that. He goes,
he said,
if you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than the highest black man, you won't need to rob him. He'll hand his money to you.
That's why they gave all their money to Trump.
But listen, well, we can get into Trump in a second, but I think that they gave their money to Trump. I think some people gave their money to Trump for racial motives, but I don't think all of them. But in terms of that stigma right there, he's saying they'll hand their money to you. What Lyndon B. Johnson is saying with that quote is, you can manipulate them so you can rob them. It's not this, hey, you got white skin, I want to take care of you. It's, hey, you're an idiot and you're poor, well, I'm going to take advantage of you. I'm going to sell you this lie, not so all of us white people can enjoy the spoils of America, so I can rob your fucking ass and you can think you're better than somebody, so you'll let me fucking rob you. So I think that these wealthy people, I think that the step that you're kind of missing is that there's a level of wealth in this country where they don't give a fuck about anybody's skin color, nothing. They give a fuck about promoting their business, promoting their agenda. And I think if we look at this through the guise of white supremacy, we just continue allowing them to rob everyone.
But the thing is, nobody's doing anything about white supremacy. See, the thing is,
of course we're doing something about white supremacy.
You're not. Nobody's doing anything about white supremacy.
I heard you say that on the tax season podcast. You said America is more racist than ever.
Yeah. Yes.
You believe that?
Not believe, I know.
America is more racist than ever.
Yeah.
So right now,
it's gotten worse. White supremacy has gotten worse. So you agree with
Donald Trump? We have to make America great again, then?
Yeah, but he's not going to do it. How's he going to do it?
But I'm just saying, you would like to go back to another point in time. What point in time you think?
Let's just make America great.
But
again, let's make it great.
Well, apparently it was greater before, according to you. What time period would you like to go back to?
I'm just saying,
1863.
No, there's
Emancipation Proclamation. Like when was America? Like you're telling me America used to be better in terms of racism.
Well, no,
you said
used to be
verbatim.
Better.
You said verbatim. It's
worse.
Never been more racist.
Right.
So
you saying, are you flipping that to say that I'm saying that it was better racial? Because
that's what never been. No. Implies
no, because you cannot have better racism. That's the thing. We live in this. I've always said we live in a system of white supremacy.
Sure,
that's what I said.
Sure.
We live in and there is no progressive white supremacy. There's no better white supremacy. It's just white supremacy.
So you haven't killed each other yet?
No.
Okay, good conversation.
It's
great. Good dialogue.
No, absolutely great. And I'm so happy you came. Welcome, Charlamagne. My point is that clearly white supremacy was more intact when black people weren't humans. When they were considered livestock,
or the 2/3,
then when a black person, well, even before there was 2/3 was progress.
Yeah.
They got to 2/3 just so they could get votes. So you're
trying to say that there's racial progress
in America?
Yeah.
You go from owning livestock, humans as livestock, to having a black president. I think that's racial progress.
There's no such thing. That's like.
It is racial progress.
Of course, it's racial progress.
Rape. If you rape somebody, do you have progressive rape? There were rapists back then, but there's just a few rapists now. They're not as brutal as the rape. Is that progressive rape?
There's definitely levels to rape.
TARIQ is a brilliant idiot.
Of course, there's levels to rape.
There's a level to rape.
Of course, there's levels to rape. Of course. Are you out of your mind? Okay, if you had to, okay, I'm going to ask you right now. If you had to, okay, ready? Here's a level of rape. If you had to get raped,
am I sitting here with?
If you had to get raped by Wax, right? You know Charlamagne's buddy? Wax, or a 5-foot Asian, whose dick do you want?
None.
None. Whose dick do you want?
All right, thank you very much, everybody.
You just proved the point. Rape is rape.
No. Dick. Hey, give me Kwong Kwong. I want that shit. Do not give me Wax. Okay?
No dick for me.
Of course, that's not the hypothetical. But the point is, would you rather live in America now? Would you rather live in America in slavery? Would you rather live in America now?
We still live in slavery. This is slavery. We still live in slavery.
That's insulting. That is insulting.
The prison industrial complex is slavery, man.
That is insulting to what slaves went through.
Jeez, we're going to slavery now. Slavery just meaning slavery means we have you dominated, and you can't do anything about it.
Would you rather live in a time where you can sell books, you can sell movies, you can travel the country doing radio, you can make, I assume, I don't know if you're a millionaire, made millions of dollars?
Yeah.
Or would you rather be living in a shed, eating horrible food, and being whipped every single day and being chained? Which is better for you? Which would you rather?
Well, the thing is, I still live in a system where they can shoot me and get away with it. Right now,
would you rather?
2017.
Just answer the question.
Right now, I'm telling you now, it's no difference. It's no difference.
There's
There's
no
no difference. I can be killed now. They can be killed then. I can be killed now.
I can be killed now. Anybody can be killed.
Listen, you're not going to be killed with impunity.
A white infant can be shot by cops in the car.
No, well, they went right to jail, so that's going to deter anybody from doing that shit.
From being killed.
But the thing is, you have people out here who are allowed and being rewarded to kill black people out here. They're not rewarded to kill you.
You think that you live the exact same life as a
we've
slave.
made a lot.
Nothing has changed.
We can do better, but we have made so much racial progress in America.
People lose respect for your arguments. People lose respect for your arguments if you don't have intellectual consistency.
Let's talk the truth.
This is not intellectually consistent.
It's very consistent.
No, it's
not.
How
have we
you
changed?
know damn well you'd rather the Asian dick.
Tariq talk when you talk, Schultz. Go ahead, Tariq.
We just have technology, but the technology is basically
you have freedom.
Really enforce more white supremacy.
You have freedom.
Well, no,
you can vote. You can choose your destiny of your life. You
vote
can choose
for who?
You can choose to leave
vote
America.
Vote for who?
Vote for Barack Obama.
And Barack Obama is controlled by the white supremacists.
And I remember you said
we're still under the thumb of white supremacy. It's like a prison, brother.
It's
like a prison. You can do stuff in the prison.
I think you need.
I don't want to be in the prison. We need to get rid of the prison.
What Barack Obama has done specifically for black people.
We know that Barack Obama he wasn't allowed to do anything, and if he did something, they would have blew him up in the White House and the whole nine.
But Barack
he wasn't
Obama
allowed
did
to do anything, not for black people. No,
he absolutely did.
No,
I mean, I can go through a list of it because I looked at it last night. Obviously, he had two black attorney generals.
That means nothing. They were powerless tokens too, who couldn't punish none of these race soldiers killing black people. They were powerless tokens.
The Jobs Act.
That's that token thing.
Everything's a token. When you get up,
there's two black people. There's two black people there.
So
that's progress.
A good conversation. Go ahead.
I mean, I think you need to think about an argument. So the Jobs Act, it made money available for minority-owned business owners.
What's a minority?
Anything that's not white supremacy.
Bullshit.
Except Nigerians, because they're white supremacy to you.
Most minorities are white.
Nigerians are white.
Most minorities are white. See, watch these trick words. Most minorities are white.
In terms of, you're saying women are a minority? Is that what you're trying to say?
White women,
right?
Hispanics who are classified as white.
Well, it depends.
Gay,
what type of Hispanic.
White men, they're classified as minorities.
Not all Hispanics are white. Okay.
I know over here about 80% of them are white.
Okay, so he
over here they are.
Black unemployment in half. It went from 18.6% to 8.3%. That is specifically something that he did for black people. The Ready for Work Partnership, $170 million for back to long-term work programs that disproportionately help black people. So 25% of the black recipients were black. 12% of the population, they were reflected double the recipients of this specific program for black people.
What was the name of that program?
The Ready for Work Partnership. And what it did is it prepared people for long-term work ethics. So it's not like I'm going to get you a job and then you're going to be out of this work in 2 years, but it not only prepared people for the jobs, but it trained them for the jobs and connected them with the jobs that they can.
I haven't heard of that program, and most black people haven't heard of that program, so I don't think that
25% of the people in the program are black.
Small business. I don't know nobody. I don't know one black person who has heard of that program.
Listen, you also didn't know.
How many people did it affect?
How many people did it help? Because they watch. They say this stuff like 25% of the unemployed. See, they work these little numbers.
Yeah, how many black
people
don't really affect
a
large number.
I didn't get the statistic of how many people. All I can tell you is the 170 million black people got 25% of that. The small business.
I got to verify that because that sounds real funny style.
Please do. Small Business Association loans. The fee for those loans went to zero. They targeted blacks by partnering with the U.S. Black Chambers.
Targeting blacks. Watch these terms. Are you saying they targeting blacks? Those are not specifically for black people.
I'm going to tell you how they targeted black. So they partnered with the U.S. Black Chambers and the 100 Black Men of America to make sure that these loans were targeted to blacks.
Did they get them though? Did they get them? Exactly. Did they get them?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, you don't know if they did that. So you're watching these words like targeted.
You don't know if they didn't.
Right.
So there it is. So until you can tell me they didn't, then they did.
So those are weak reaches, man.
The Fair Sentencing
Act.
That's a weak
reach.
Fair Sentencing Act. This narrowed the gaps in sentencing between crack and cocaine. Okay, this is something specifically that I'm sure that you were referencing when you talked about the institutionalized racism and institutionalized imprisonment of black people. So he specifically targeted the difference in time served.
Then
why
are so many black people still disproportionately in jail for
nonviolent
drug crimes?
Well, Barack can't change that in the end.
All right, but let's be real. Let's not throw all these little.
Well, you think that's because of racism?
These little symbolic things.
Well, you think that's because of racism?
Because brothers in jail like that? Yeah.
So here's a question: 95% of the people in jail are male. Is that because the justice system is sexist?
No. But the justice system is dominated by white supremacy. You know why? Because
let's just attach on that. So it's not. So I gave you a statistic, right? that is the same statistic that you gave me, but you said immediately no and discredited it. Now, this is a perfect example of where you're blinded by race.
Right.
You see a race statistic, you believe it, right? Because we don't question the things. We don't question. And I gave you a gender statistic, and you believe it, and you completely disregarded it. I'm what?
Going off from what I'm saying. Listen what I'm saying.
No,
my point.
You're responding to what I'm saying. My point
asking
is,
you.
just because a statistic exists doesn't mean there's reason.
You're deflecting.
Let him talk.
You're deflecting, Schultz.
He's a grown man. When you
Schultz is deflecting.
No, we got to have a conversation. You got to think about people listening. Like,
so you're saying that
95% of people in male.
The disproportionate number of black men in jail is not because of race, not because of white supremacy.
Not necessarily.
Most black men are in jail. Most black men are in jail for nonviolent drug offenses. Our sister Michelle Alexander, she broke that down in her book. But the number one drug in the country, crystal meth, heroin, that stuff, and 90% of the people who use and sell are white.
Are you familiar with the punishment for crystal meth? Are you familiar with the how long you have to do in jail if you're caught with that?
How long? What does that have to do with them going to jail? Period. Because
exactly the same amount of time for crack.
Now, so how come the jails are not filled with white meth and heroin users and sellers?
They're increasingly becoming that way.
Increasingly? Well, how come they're not now? Why not
meth
now?
is a newer drug. And
meth has been around for a long time.
No, it hasn't. Meth is a much newer drug.
Meth has been around for a long time.
Heroin's
been around.
Drug, but meth is a much newer drug, and they're increasingly so inside these jails. The numbers are shocking.
You're just saying they haven't gotten them yet? That's what you're saying?
It's happening. I think in the next 10 years, you're going to see a similar epidemic with meth as we saw with crack.
No.
How new is meth? I thought meth been around.
Meth has been around for a long time. Meth has been around for a long. That's not true, Show.
It absolutely is true. You can look it up.
Meth has been around for a long time.
So now let's look at the 95%
that's being disingenuous, but that's okay.
Let's look at the 95% statistic. So 95% of the people in jail are male. Is that because jail is sexist? You said that jail is racist because the majority of people in jail are black, or a disproportionate amount of blacks are in jail. So that means that was enough proof for you to say it's racist. So I'm saying 95% of people in jail are male. That is disproportionately male to female. Is that, by your logic, because jail is sexist?
No, that's just a deflective argument, Schultz. That's nothing but a deflection. It has nothing to do with the price.
Doesn't mean it's deflective.
It's no answer. It's a deflective argument that has nothing to do with the price of tea in China. The reason why there's so many people, and even let's go to black women, more black women in jail than white women, and there's more white women who are meth users and drug users there. So it always goes back to systematic white supremacy.
There's also more black women in college and more black women in graduate school.
Not than white women.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, obviously there's more white women in the country, but percentage-wise, black women are the most educated people in the country. So is that because education system is racist?
So we're going by the percentage thing.
That's how you look at a demographic.
No, you look at raw numbers.
Okay, well,
you look at raw numbers.
White people are 5 times the population of black people. Clearly, there's going to be more than.
And if there's 5 times % of the population, why are so many more black people in jail? And you're 5 times % of the population. These black men are in jail.
We could also look at the same statistic and say, why are there so many black people?
But no. We can also answer that question.
Okay, what is your question?
The question is,
and methamphetamine has been around since 1887, by the way.
I'm not saying they haven't been around, but the meth it's like saying crack. Yeah, you could make crack.
So is it the meth epidemic, or you said meth is a newer drug?
Right.
The meth epidemic is a new drug. Yeah, the meth epidemic is newer. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But back to your question. You had a question.
But the question is, because there's 5 times more white people in the country, shouldn't they be in jail 5 times more?
Absolutely.
Then why are they not?
You would think.
Then why are they not?
Because in what the justice system believes is they aren't committing the crime at that rate.
Why do they think that?
I don't know. Why do you think that?
White supremacy?
I wouldn't chalk it up to just white supremacy. I would chalk it up to the lasting effects of slavery, and I would talk about
which is white supremacy.
Which is
white supremacy. You keep bringing different words for white supremacy.
That mass incarceration is a race issue, though.
Yeah,
it's been proven.
Yes. There are.
We agree on a lot of stuff. You prove a lot of stuff, right?
Absolutely. There are certain aspects. I can't deny that, and I absolutely would deny. But I think that it is more detailed and nuanced than you give it credit for. So, for example, when we look at the numbers that we see. I guess you chalk up everything that has happened to black people in America to the history of black people in America.
Well, I chop up everything that happens now. Everything, especially everything negative that happens to black society, is completely orchestrated by white supremacy, and I mean that with no exception.
I mean, President Obama said that in his farewell speech the other day. He said that He said white people need to stop dismissing the fact that the after effects of slavery and Jim Crow are very much affecting us as a society.
And he also
now.
said stop looking at everything as a race thing.
He did, but it works both ways.
Yeah.
You don't look at everything as a race thing, but you have to deal with the reality of the situation.
Absolutely, I've never denied that. I've been a very strong proponent of the effects of Jim Crow and slavery, and I think it's one of the reasons why blacks that come here from Africa and the West Indies are so successful in this country is because they don't have that lasting legacy and they don't have that victimology mentality that the blacks that are raised.
They have it. Oh, they have it. But the thing is, they're allowed. They're allowed over here. See, especially in their country. In their country, their countries are dominated by white supremacy. That's why they had to bring their asses over here.
But they grew up with their own leaders, right? They grew up they
grew up with puppet leaders.
Black presidents. They grew up looking at black people in office. They grew up looking at black business
Nelson Mandela was a real leader.
They go look at all these things. I mean, many of them were real leaders.
Schultz, I've been to Africa. When a white person steps out, I've been to Ethiopia, I've been to Egypt, I've been to Tanzania, I've been to South Africa, been to Zanzibar. And one thing I've noticed, whenever a white person steps out somewhere, black people there surround them because they know that we live in a global system of white supremacy, and those are the people with the resources, and that's who I need to be around.
Surround them? What do you mean?
So literally, surround them, like begging, surround them. Like, hey, who are you? What do you do? You got food, medicine? And this is why African people are getting on ships and boats floating over to Europe, because those are the people who have all the resources.
Is that, okay, just like you just said it right there. You just said it. Is that because they're white or is that because they have resources? Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
They want resources. So if a rich black guy is walking through the streets of Zanzibar, I guarantee some black people are going to surround him going, hey, do you have some resources for me? I'd love some resources. That'd be great.
Right. So the resource thing, why do white people have so many resources globally?
Well, not white people. White people don't. I mean, if we look at America, we see the intense poverty across America, the intense welfare state that America has become.
Who has the majority of the resources?
There are white people that have
resources.
Who have
the majority of the global resources?
A very small percentage of 1% of the population. That is not reflective of if I blamed, or you or anybody blamed all black people for the actions of 1% of black people, right? You would call that racist or prejudice. But you have no problem blaming all white people for the actions of 1% of whites.
No. I've never said that. Let's be very clear. I've always said all white people are not white supremacists. I never said that. No, I didn't. No, I never said that. All white people are not white supremacists.
I don't know if you know what you're saying.
The white supremacists are the most powerful people on the planet.
That's what we were talking about with TARIQ earlier, because whenever he goes on Tucker's show, I always tell him I think that's dangerous because they try to paint him as a racist instead of a person who's against white supremacy. I think it's a difference. Right,
but they just twist your words and use the I'm white, not say so narrative. So no matter what I say, they're going to flip it and just say something else anyway. So that's I'm white, not say so. I'm used to that.
All right. Let's pause this conversation with TARIQ NASHEED to tell you that this episode of Brilliant Idiots is brought to you by Squarespace. Whatever your next move might be, get it started on a good foot by using Squarespace. Squarespace provides simple, intuitive tools that allow you to build the website of your dreams with ease. Squarespace is used by a wide range of people and businesses, including musicians, designers, artists, and even restaurants. And it gives you the ability to create an online platform from which to make your next move known to the world. You can add and arrange your content and feature with the click of a mouse. And there's nothing to install, patch, or upgrade ever. Though, if you do have a question, Squarespace provides award-winning 24/7 customer support and can help you with any problem, no matter how technical or trivial seeming. So whether you need a landing page, a beautiful gallery, a professional blog, or an online store, it's all included in your Squarespace website. Start your free trial today at squarespace.com and enter offer code IDIOT to get 10% off your first purchase. Squarespace, set your website apart. Let's get back into our conversation with TARIQ NASHEED. Now, what is the argument that y'all are having here? That white supremacy exists?
No, we agree that white supremacy exists. What I think that he does is often, he wants to prove white supremacy so much that he often loses or misses out or is blind to the real cause on some issues. On some issues, it's white supremacy, an undeniable fact, right? And on other issues, it might have nothing to do with white supremacy, but because you want to prove it so badly, you miss that.
And I want him to tell me what areas of activity that are not dominated by white supremacy.
We just proved it. Religion.
He said religion, and I just proved that religion is completely dominated by white supremacy.
You just proved that you know nothing about religion.
I just did.
Which religion, though? Which one you're talking about?
All of them.
All of them are dominated by white supremacy.
We can't go back on this because we already proved it, but it's not even close.
We didn't. When there's black churches, white churches, it's definitely dominated by white supremacy.
Okay, another thing that you said on the tax season podcast is you were talking about black feminists date white men, and it's because you said this is because of the Negro bed wench mentality.
I ain't heard it yet.
Yeah. And so what do you mean by that?
Well, the thing is, unfortunately, when you're a captive people, people can take advantage of you sexually and psychologically. And during slavery, they took advantage of sisters sexually, and black men too. A lot of black men were raped on these plantations by white males. So now that mentality, unfortunately, is somewhat still prevalent, where people in black society, captive people, feel like they have to be sexually submissive to those in the dominant white society. This goes with black women and black men, unfortunately.
Right. So, so to this point, I think there's another time where you're again blind to what the real issue is here, and I think
what's the real issue?
I think the real issue here is that third wave modern feminists, like this is the most recent form of feminism, which I agree with you in a lot of ways. I'm very critical of, and I think we share a lot of the same sentiments. These women, regardless of race, date emasculated men because that's the only way they can feel powerful. Now, emasculated men happen to be white more in America because in certain white groups in America, machismo or the pressure to be machismo or tough doesn't exist.
Did you just say white men are pussy?
Yeah.
In certain white groups. No, in certain. I wouldn't say that. You know, I say this on the podcast all the fucking time. We are creating pathetic individuals, but when I see certain white groups, they embrace how pussy they are, basically. And I think that's why you see white feminists dating them, black feminists dating them. You know, you see these really emasculated men. We're like, is this guy gay? Are they? I don't even understand. Are they best friends? I'm not even sure what it is. So I don't think that this is a reflection of this Negro bedmensch mentality. I think it literally is, how do I feel powerful? I damn sure can't do that with a TARIQ. I damn sure can't do that with a Charlemagne. I damn sure I can't do that with a SCHULZ. I'm going to get me a little pussy that I can walk all over and make me feel empowered.
I don't believe.
Yeah, you just said white men are pussy and black women are kind of pussy. I don't believe that.
I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all because the mayor of New York, what's his name? De Blasio?
He's a pussy.
Yeah, you say he's a pussy. He's the mayor of damn New York. He's
so
a powerful
what?
guy.
He can still be a pussy.
His wife used to be a feminist. She used to be a black feminist back in the 70s. So, yeah, he's not powerless. This man runs the city.
Why can't it just be love? Why can't it just be interracial couples? Why can't it just be a guy loves a girl or a girl loves a guy?
Well, ask him that question. Yeah. I think that's fine, but he doesn't believe that's possible. He
believes it's possible. But the thing is, when I see people,
you're in an interracial relationship, right?
No.
Your wife isn't.
Whoa! Fox News, go ahead.
No, but is your wife not of mixed race?
Yeah, my wife is black. She's biracial, but she's black.
So she's half black, half what?
Yeah, half white.
Okay, so she's half black, half white,
which is black.
Okay,
she's Barack Obama.
I've always said that.
She's J. Cole.
Yeah,
she's Drake.
I've always said that. You can make that distinction. You can do that as well. But
technically, the system of white supremacy, they made that decision.
Sure, but technically, are you a Negro bed wench?
No, because I'm not with a white woman.
I mean, to some people, you might be.
When you met her,
ain't nothing wrong with being with a white woman.
When you met her, you thought she was a black woman.
I knew she was a black woman. She said it.
Yeah, she's
What's her father?
Oh, he's black. He's black.
Oh yeah,
he's black. She's
black. If you
black.
come out the white pussy, you're white.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is.
Please.
Why did you?
I'm just saying.
What Schultz is really upset about? I don't know if y'all talked about this. He don't like being called a suspected white supremacist.
I don't like white supremacy. So let's get rid of white supremacy, and I won't suspect nobody of being a white supremacist.
Here's my issue. Here's my issue with the suspected thing.
Yes.
I think it's lazy. Because what it does is it gives a person the stigma of being a white supremacist without you actually doing the due diligence and research to find out if that person is. It's like saying someone's a suspected pedophile. It's like, well, I'm not going to let that person babysit. Even if that person has not been proven to be a pedophile, just suspected is enough for me to be like, get away from my fucking kids.
Now imagine that stigma magnified to our everyday lives. We are suspected of having a gun. We are suspected. By whom?
Not by
the
me.
Pantaleos of the world.
But not by
we're
me.
the ones who are suspected of selling cigarettes illegally, and we're harmed by that.
Right.
We're suspected of robbing a store.
But not by me.
But by the white supremacists.
So
and I'm not saying you are. I'm not saying you
me?
are. I'm not saying you are. But you're not telling us who the white supremacists are, and I'm not calling you a white supremacist. But if you do something, I'm going to have to suspect you might be for my own safety.
It sounds like both of y'all don't want nobody generalizing.
Right. So what I guess what I want to know is
you're going to get a stigma, but I could possibly get killed out here for being a suspect. So that's the big difference, Joe. So let's remove white supremacy altogether so nobody will be suspected of anything.
Do you agree two things can be wrong?
Like what do you mean?
Just two things can be wrong.
1,000 things can be wrong.
Killing somebody is wrong and rape is wrong.
Of course.
Both of those things are wrong.
Absolutely.
One doesn't negate the other.
Absolutely
right?
not.
It's not like I'm getting, this person over here is getting raped and you're like, yeah, but we're getting killed, so you need to shut up about your rape shit.
No.
That's what you're doing right now.
That's not my argument.
You're basically saying, hey, listen, I'm allowed to call you a suspected white supremacist because, hey, I've been going through some fucked up shit.
Because I'm a victim of white supremacy. So it's my
you're
duty.
Just
it's my
free to call anybody who you don't have to do any research.
That is my own experience. When I say I suspect this person might be a white supremacist, that's my experience.
So what have I said that made you suspect that?
I don't. I've never called you a suspected white supremacist, by the way. I haven't called you that.
TARIQ.
I haven't called you that.
TARIQ.
I haven't. I want you to listen.
I've heard you say that.
People think that he was.
I've heard you say.
I haven't really listened to shows.
He's never directly called
you.
I've never called you a suspected white supremacist.
I've never.
From what I've heard.
Yeah, you have said that.
So you find pushing this rhetoric out there.
What rhetoric?
This suspected white supremacist. So what you've heard mean? I guess at what point
I've heard people tell people like Schulz is a white supremacist.
Okay, so I've heard people
so that's
say,
why I'm not going to call you one.
I've heard somebody say you're gay. Are you a suspected homosexual?
Well, you can't find a booty hole that I've had relations with, so that's easy.
So you
to
can't
disprove.
Find a person that I've had white supremacy towards.
But the thing is, what have you done to replace the system of white supremacy?
What have you done
justice?
to not fuck booty holes?
I put my dick in my pants.
Well, I don't know that.
You don't have to. I know it.
Yeah, but you know it, but I don't. You haven't proved it to me. So you could be fucking booty holes. I don't know.
But I'm not, so that's cool.
I never said you fucked him. Maybe you got fucked.
I know my booty hole is closed too.
But we don't know that.
I don't care if you don't know that.
That's why I said
my booty hole no.
Guys, we're not here to discuss gay rights. We're not here to discuss gay rights.
Schulz is really a lot on this dick and booty talk.
Absolutely. Welcome to White Boys. This is how white boys hang out, TARIQ. Why do you think we're so emasculated? We talked about this.
You thought he was one of these white guys that like black?
That's what I thought. I'm like, goddamn.
No, I'm the real fucking deal, baby.
He prefers Asian dick.
He sucked his own dick before. He's white.
Come on now, who hasn't?
Listen, how do we get to a solution? Because I feel like we
No, but this is important. I don't want to get away from the suspected
Yes.
thing. I'm just saying, I could go through and find people saying things that you say you're suspected of, which I think are unfair. I would never put them out there. Even if I disagree with you on a million different things. And I've already said to you, and I mean this sincerely, I think you're incredibly talented. I mean this sincerely. I would never put those things out there because I haven't done the work. I have a certain amount of integrity. I haven't done the work to find out if you
but
are
the thing
these
is,
things.
Schulz, man, we live in a system where black people are getting executed out here in the streets.
What does that have to do with me
need to know,
being called a suspected white supremacist? That doesn't give you permission. Just because
we
you've been through something.
Who's the white supremacist? Nobody's telling us who the white supremacists are.
If I'm born with terminal cancer, does that mean that I can do whatever I want?
Nobody's telling us who
cancer?
the white supremacists are. We're going to have to suspect somebody of being a white supremacist in a system
so I'm
of white
a casualty
supremacy.
of a dice game. So
you're not.
So you're basically stop and frisk with white supremacy. You believe in stop and frisk.
We have to, as victims of white supremacy, we need to know who's a potential white supremacist, who might harm us.
You sound a lot like the cops. We need to find out who's shooting people, so we're going to stop everybody.
Cops. We're not killing cops with impunity.
But
we're not
people were shooting people in New York.
We just need to know who might victimize us. That's all we need to do.
Generalizations are dangerous all across the board. That's all I'm hearing in this conversation.
But real talk, I mean, you're doing stop and frisk with a suspected white supremacist, and it's the same thing. Now, suspected white supremacist, now that it might be effective. Stop and frisk was very effective. I mean, and if you really want to look at who stop and frisk was targeting, which was Latinos and blacks, there was a 6-month period from like January to June in New York City where Latinos and blacks were responsible for 98% of a gun.
But that's nation. We're always suspect of something. We're always being suspected. If we walk in a store, people
not
following
suspected.
us, we're always suspected.
They were 98% of the people who committed those crimes, right?
Right?
So when they were only being targeted at 80%. The actual people who were being targeted too much were the Muslims, were the Asians, were the white people who didn't have anything to do with that gun crime in that period, right?
The bottom line,
they were
we are suspected
targeted
for almost everything.
My point
when black
is,
people walk in somewhere, we're suspected of stuff, and we're punished oftentimes by people's suspicions. So when we look at other people and say, okay, that person might victimize me, that's not being incorrect. That's not reverse racism. That's us being cautious. That's all it is.
So what you're saying, you're justifying your racism through racism.
You cannot be a racist if you are a powerless person. Racism is systematic. Outside of name calling, tell me what racism can black people practice and get away with?
Charlemagne can practice racism right now. Charlemagne can decide that he doesn't want to hire people that are Asian for his many shows. Oprah can practice racism. Barack Obama can practice racism.
But you're proving his point, though, because we got we're in positions of power. He said the powerless.
I know. But you think because he's black that black people don't have power. I think that's the most racist idea right there. I think the fact that you look at black people as powerless is incredibly racist and crippling to black mentality. I think it's really wrong.
So me and Charlamagne, we can not hire Asian people, and that's racist?
If you're doing it specifically because you don't want to hire Asians, yeah, you have the power to do that. You're a person of power. You have
that's
economic.
discrimination.
Now, first of all, not only is that discrimination. Now, furthermore,
but are black people doing that? I mean, you're talking about a hypothetical thing. I'm saying, show me where black people are even in a position to hire a lot of Asian people.
I just showed you two.
But I will say, even if you're poor, if you're poor and white,
right.
Now, if your point is that you need economic power to oppress, so all those poor white people, poor white people that vote for Trump, there must not be racist.
Group power, and the economics comes with them aggregating small amounts of money.
Okay.
See, we don't have that group power.
Why not?
Don't have that. We don't because of white supremacy.
Shift elections.
Black
people shift entire elections
with their numbers, but not with their money.
You just said group power.
No, Tariq, I can show you where racism is dangerous to a powerless people. Like I'm from South Carolina.
Yeah.
So if I go to one of these white trailer parks with a bunch of poor and disenfranchised people, regardless of how much money I got, if they're racist against me, it could be a dangerous situation.
Yes, indeed. Exactly. Because you can't have two supremes. There's no such thing as black supremacy. That's a contradiction of terms. Supreme means no higher than, end all, be all. Mm-hmm. So you have white supremacy, and supreme means I can kill you ultimately and do it with impunity. That's all it means at the end of the day.
Sure.
And the only people who can do that to us are the white supremasts. We can't do that to anybody else.
Mansa Musa was a black supremacist.
You define. He just didn't know any white guys.
$400 billion.
So you define power now. It's not in terms of economics. Before it was economics, but you've shifted your argument to saying it's just killing someone and getting away with it.
No. I didn't shift the argument. I'm just telling you what supreme means.
We debunked your economic theory, so now you're going into murdering.
No, you didn't.
We absolutely.
How did you debunk my economic theory?
Because you have economic power. I'm assuming, this is just me assuming that you have economic power.
Who, me as an individual?
You as an individual.
Right. No, I don't. I'm just a black person with a couple of dollars. But fine. I don't have economic power.
Charlamagne has economic power.
A powerless black, listen,
he has the ability to hire. He has the ability to staff entire television shows. He has the ability to staff writing rooms.
Listen, that's a part of it, but if I'm a powerless black
staff
person,
radio
a white person is not going to suffer if I don't hire them. Let's be very real. An Asian person ain't going to suffer if I don't hire them. But black people,
black people aren't going to suffer if he doesn't hire them either.
But we're going to have to go to some white person to hire us. For the most part, very few of us have economic independence, unfortunately, in the system of white supremacy. We go over that
hump. Very few white people have economic independence.
Oh, please.
Let me ask you a question.
Absolutely.
That's
very
not true.
few white people have independence. Do you know how poor white people are?
Who has all the wealth in the country?
Didn't you grow up in the middle of the country?
20% though.
Yeah, but still.
That's
1%.
1%.
But that's the 1%, so you're defining all white people by the 1%. Do you see how your arguments keep falling apart?
No, that 1%, they control the wealth and the resources in this country, and black folks are still under that thumb. We still have to go to that 1%.
So are poor white people. Those poor white people who lost their houses in that mortgage crisis,
right?
They were taken advantage by the exact same 1%.
And they have no problem voting for Trump as long as he's going to keep the Negroes down just a little bit further.
They voted for Trump for the same reason why black people who voted for Barack Obama voted for Trump, because they want jobs, and they are anti-establishment votes. This election was not about racism. It was about anti-establishment.
Now, come on. Now, when you're at the rally yelling, nigga, go back to Africa.
Every election is going to be about, there are going to be a certain amount of people that are doing it for racist issues.
Trump has had a career of practicing white supremacy against black people, man.
What I'm saying is there are black people who voted for him.
The four people in Chicago, they were all powerless.
Yeah.
But that is a prime example of powerless people still practicing racism.
Which is this?
In Chicago, where they tortured the white dude.
Oh, they kidnapped the kid? Yeah.
But they beat the guy up. But that was
they said, fuck white people, fuck Donald Trump.
That was just name calling. They beat the dude up, and after they beat him up, their asses went to jail less than 24 hours, got charged with hate crimes. Right.
As they should have.
Where's the racism? Because racism is systematic. There was no system that protected them.
Racism
there was no
is not
union.
Systematic.
It is systematic.
That's a change
look at the word racism. Ism is systematic.
Racism is systematic. Look it up. Racism is prejudice based on race.
A system
No,
that's prejudice based on race.
No, system is
That's
something
why
that was added into it in the last 5 years.
Outside
so
of
that
name calling, we don't get away with being racist to
There's
nobody.
a difference between name calling and violence. These
Right.
people were
We
violent
don't get to be
and they kidnapped
violent,
somebody.
and they got punished immediately.
Absolutely,
where
they
white
should.
people who
They should.
practice racism, they can punish us and walk around free, and nothing happens to them.
That's not true.
That's a good point.
No, that's not true.
What do you mean
Listen,
that's not true?
You're
what
saying,
happened to Pantaleo? The person who killed Eric Garner, the person who killed Tamir Rice, the person who killed Freddie Gray.
So you're giving me 4 examples.
I can give more. I can just be here all day.
So you're giving me
I can give you several
popular examples.
I can give you several examples of that happening over and over again.
already-
Walter Scott. I can go on and on and on and on.
Sure.
And on.
Zimmerman.
All of them.
Okay.
I mean, throughout history. I mean, especially here in New York.
I mean, we go back to the lynchings and all that. None of them got
we're
punished.
familiar with these examples.
Right.
But they've done studies. There was a Harvard professor that did this study.
Okay.
Black Harvard professor that did this study.
Don't matter. Token. Okay, go ahead.
I know he's token
I hate when
because
people
you
try
just-
to point out
you
somebody's
disagree
black.
with him and he's
I
token.
hate when they say he's black, so that means he's about to maintain white supremacy. You
The
get
reason
some black
why
person
I say
to,
the
okay,
reason
go ahead.
why I say he's black is because he saw this he saw this incredible racial injustice with all these black people being killed by the police, and he was a economics professor. So what he decided to do is take it upon himself to prove systematically and statistically that this was happening to black people beyond a shadow of a doubt. And his research showed that black people were harassed more by the cops, pushed up against walls more by the cops, handcuffed more by the cops at a higher percentage, and spoken disrespectfully during these interactions at a higher percentage than black people. But when it came to being killed by the cops, white people were killed more by the cops than black people, even in situations where the cops had the right to shoot, by 18%. Now,
the reason why, Schultz, is because more white people kill police officers. And not only that,
wait, what?
more white people kill police officers. Last year alone,
now you're talking about numbers.
71% of the police officers that were shot by white males.
Yes.
So more white people kill cops. So yeah, cops
What
are going to shoot.
percentage of white people are there in the country?
80%? What
70%. So they're right
okay.
on par. They shot the exact amount of cops they're supposed to.
Exactly. So why are they killing?
So
why unarmed black people getting killed when you have the people over here, the white supremacists of white people shooting you the most?
Yeah,
and also you have the Cliven Bundys and all these people who would take up arms against law enforcement for months at a time, and these people don't get punished.
And the reverse to that argument, too, real quick.
The
reverse to that argument is also, if it's more white people, then the black people shouldn't be getting harassed more by the cops.
Yeah, and I got a roll too. By the way.
So no. I didn't say. I said they were getting harassed at a higher percentage. The point is, the point about the shooting was there's this untrue narrative that is being put out there that you are supporting right now. This
What's
idea
untrue? What is it?
That cops are killing black people at a higher rate than they're killing white people. They're not. They're killing white people at a higher percentage that they're killing black people.
But they're not unarmed white people. Though. They're not unarmed white people. They're not unarmed white people. Schultz. Also, the FBI put out.
Let me just finish and I give it to you. Let me finish. I give it to you. Let me just finish. I give it to you.
Okay.
They're not only are white people being killed at a higher percentage than black people by the cops.
Not unarmed, but go ahead.
Armed black people who the cops had 100% right to shoot because they were armed or they're attacking the cop are still killed at a lower percentage than white people.
The FBI put out a memo in 2006 stating,
you should look it up. Harvard and Washington Post.
The FBI put out a memo stating that white supremacist organizations, they've infiltrated law enforcement. They were warning people of this in 2006.
This has been around for a while, though.
Right. Right. Do you think that doesn't have any bearing on black people getting killed disproportionately who are unarmed?
So what you do is when you do one of these studies, no, and I'll tell you why. Because what you do when you do these
white
studies,
supremacy denial.
Well, again, just because I disagree with you, you can't just say white supremacy. Maybe you should hear what I have to say, and then you could disagree.
It's kind of I'm white and I say so, though, Schultz. That's the thing, though.
No, I'm telling you no.
And then you throw out a bunch of.
I'm telling you no, but I'm telling you specifically why.
We got to wrap this up soon. So let's finish your final point.
Go
ahead.
So what you do when you do a statistical analysis at that level, when you're one of these like Harvard institutions, is you adjust for all these types of variables, right? You don't just do one police precinct, you do 1,000 police precincts across the country. And when you do that, you get a diverse enough group and a diverse enough information that will offset these variables. I mean, statistical analysis at this level is done to make sure and ensure that you're not going to have these biases infiltrated. Is it 100% accurate? Absolutely not. You'll have maybe a 90% accuracy rate with a standard deviation of, a few percent, right? So within like 2 standard deviations of the mean, you'll be accurate. Right? right?
Translation: black people get killed by these suspected white supremacist race soldiers, and we got these stats to justify why we do it. That's all you just said.
You're just being lazy, dude.
That's not lazy.
You're smarter than
What you're
this.
trying to do
That's
is
what
mental.
bothers me,
You're
dude.
trying to do
It
verbal
bothers me
gymnastics.
that you're smarter than.
That's verbal gymnastics you're
All
trying
I'll
to
say
do.
is
Well,
this.
the variables of the percentage shows that disproportionate numbers
Just
of the
'cause
race.
you don't understand it doesn't mean it's verbal
gymnastics.
To you,
that's all it is.
To other people,
what
it's
you
just
said made
watching.
zero sense.
It's because you don't understand.
You think I don't
statistics.
catch what you're saying? See, a lot of black folks, they hear a white guy say a bunch of numbers and all of these four-syllable words, and they think this is a deep white man. What you said was completely full of shit. And you're my dude. I'm not saying that to be disrespectful.
I don't think you
know
are.
it's full of shit.
I think you're saying
a lot of folks don't know. But the point is, according to the FBI, I'm going back to the point. I make it very simple. I like to make it very plain. They've said that white supremacist organizations, they've infiltrated law enforcement. There's books out talking about how they were going to infiltrate law enforcement and target black people. There's emails and phone records and text records showing that there are white supremacists in these precincts targeting black people. It comes out almost every other month. Black people are being targeted and harmed because they know that they're not going to be punished if they do so. And not only will they not be punished, these race soldiers are being rewarded for harming black people. It's just that simple. We can do the verbal gymnastics, but I like to keep things very plain. I like to look at the raw numbers. The raw numbers is that very rarely do white males
very rarely
go to
is not
jail.
A statistic.
Go to jail.
That's not a number.
I'm just making it plain. I'm just making it plain for the cheap seats.
Bullshit.
I'm making it plain for the cheap seats.
You bullshit it.
Well, the
you
variables of the inconclusive evidence of I'm making it very plain. Show me.
You can Google all this stuff.
You can Google. Show me the large numbers of white.
Give me one number.
Hell, just give me a large number. I'm giving you. Give me a number of large numbers of white people going to jail for killing black people in law enforcement.
Give me a number, TARIQ.
Who are the white people going to jail for killing black people, especially unarmed black people?
You're asking for specific names. That's
Show
not
me.
numbers.
No, give me a name. Okay? That's making it very plain. Show me
what creates
who
an
are
answer.
so every black person killed by a white person is justified
because your argument is lazy.
So is every black person killed by a white person?
Not.
So
and
why do they not go to jail?
And they do.
Who?
You're assuming that they don't.
Who?
There are
them,
people
Schultz.
that go to jail all the time.
Name them.
You're speaking about police officers specifically?
Yeah, let's do specifically cops.
Gotcha.
So I want you to just give me one statistic. You haven't given me one number all day.
You're trying to give it back to me. I'm asking you something. I'll give you
me a number.
Give me a name.
Give me a name of
to
back up what you're saying.
Who are police officers going to jail killing unarmed black people.
I've given you better than one name. I've given you a statistical analysis across
the whole
country.
Give me a name. Let's make it. My education level is kind of slow. I just need to break it down.
You're a smart dude. I know you're a smart dude.
I dropped out of school.
I know.
Just give me a name.
I don't care about school.
I'm good on names.
I don't care about school.
I didn't do good at math. Just give me a name.
I need a number.
All right, we're talking. We're just talking past each other at this point.
Now,
but
TARIQ, I gotta go.
Listen, I really appreciate you coming by.
Indeed.
I'm being dead serious with you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I mean this. I'm being dead serious. I've said this a couple times. I think you're incredibly gifted at communicating. Sir. I fucking mean that.
Yeah.
I really wish that you put more of an effort in terms of compiling these arguments and getting statistical backups for these arguments and proving them because. Dude, I'm not joking. I'm being dead serious. I talk about Charlemagne like this. I think he's an unbelievable communicator. Probably the most talented person I've ever worked with.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of your ability to communicate, you're up there, dude. I just think you're being lazy with these arguments because you're so good and you're not competing with anybody. And I want you to put the work in.
What's your final thoughts, TARIQ?
Schultz, he has to get out of white supremacy denial. That whole denial of white supremacy, that's very dangerous. Black folks don't need to fall for that. It's bad for white society as well. We shouldn't have a system of white supremacy at all.
I agree.
That shit should be alleviated. So you should be one of the people on the forefront calling that shit out when you see it instead of trying to disprove white supremacy. Let us know who the white supremacists are. That's all I have to say.
All right, I'm going to CC you.
Oh, yes.
My man TARIQ, thank you, my brother.
I got to get a picture with Schultz. Do it.
Yes, please. Well, all of us. All
of us, yeah.
Listen.
I really appreciate you coming, man.